Hello there, Bic Benedict here. We're playing Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition on the PC, and this is my Dante Must Die difficulty SSS-Rank guide and walkthrough. We're currently on mission 16 of 20. It is entitled Inferno. So you need 10,650 for the stylish points, and you have a 37-minute time window in which to do this. And the first fight over here is a mandatory fight versus these three shit enemies. They're called Cutlasses. And one of the ways that you can deal with them is you can use the Dark Slayer style of Dante and do the two slash dimension moves that he has. It's only 4 moves that you have with that particular style, but it's slash dimension C and slash dimension F. And it actually can hit a bunch of things at once and cause those fucking cutlasses to get out of the ground and the walls. And then once they are, you want to prepare for this is a skippable fight if you don't like it. The cutlasses, they're just horrible too, because they just track you down. It's incredible, but you want to try to do the real impact on them and distort it. But the problem usually is that when you're doing that, the other ones, you'll see a little shadow on the ground of them coming up to interrupt you. If you activate the devil trigger, you don't get interrupted. I do want to talk about that too, because we are going to be doing some real impacts that start with the devil trigger. So that is something that you can do on certain enemies. I'll tell you the ones that you can do those on coming up, not right now, because I want to talk about, I've got a panoply of things to talk about over here after I get a little bit of water. The thing about this chapter is that it has a bunch of difficult fights, but it's, I think, a pretty enjoyable chapter. But at the beginning, you are forced to do that first fight with the Cutlasses, and then either do this fight or skip it. Now, remember what I was saying about I don't want to be like skipping fights, and I just want to do the path that the game wants me to go on, and to do all the fights on that path, regardless of whether they're mandatory or not, or skippable or not. That's what I want to do. In my last project, I went to the gallery, where you will probably find a whole bunch of puppets and I'm sorry, I keep calling the scarecrows the puppets, but I'm very sorry for this lame strategy here of just jumping around and using the shotgun, but it's the best way to deal with these enemies. So sorry, I just want to do these fights. I don't want to go off the beaten track and do other fights. Don't forget that orb right there, and then this next fight over here is going to be more of the more swords and knights. So the problem about this room is that, and yes, you are getting poison, but the poison is not. It doesn't even figure into the mechanics of what's going on here. You never are going to die from the poison, so don't worry about that. The poison is a stupid little gimmick they added to this level to make it look a little, or seem a little different to the other environment that we did when we were traversing this with Nero. The problem with this is that the best way to deal with the blades right now is to just jump around and use the shotgun, and just jump around and use the jumping B attack with Swordmaster. But by the time you clear out all the swords, the angels, they're dead. These guys here, they're close to death, or you've already killed one, or because I think there's like 2 or 3. You've put them to death. So what does that mean? Isn't that a good thing that they're almost dead? Not really. Because we're trying to get points on this, and we can get a lot of points off them with real impacts. But if you do see chances to do real impacts, just go for it. But this chapter and the next chapter is going to teach you a lot about weapon switching on the fly. But don't worry about it too much. I never really have any strategies that involve the Dark Slayer too much ever. And I know I had one on this video that we started out using the Dark Slayer, but that was just an option. You know, you don't have to do that. But I found that it was a good way to get those cutlasses out of the geometry. Ooh, don't you just love that? That's one of my most detested things. And we have a boss fight that, for some reason, I have a huge problem of trying to dynamically adjust. You know, when in my mind I'm trying to figure out where the character's back is pointing to figure out which way I'm supposed to turn the analog stick in the opposite direction. So for some reason I have a big problem with it on the boss fight. I'm not sure. Burial is tough because of that. For me he's quite tough. So no more poisoning now. I don't think. We're gonna have a moment of fresh air. Don't forget that main orb in the center of that room and the 2 chairs. You have some canisters out here and 2 more up top, and then we will be going to the next fight. So the next fight, you should get the opportunity to send back that piercing void sort of sphere that the Angelos send out. I do like to capitalize on this kill here. It would be impossible to talk about the real impact and the depth I would need to in any such video. So what I would recommend is just go on YouTube and go to Devil May Cry 4 Real Impact. There is a brilliant video on the first search result. So what exactly is over here? I don't think that so how do these guys throw that ball? It has to be 2 of the lower ones and 1 of the gold ones. So it has to be 2 Biancos and 1 Alto. And the thing that I really hate is that they will do that ball based on their own caprice or caprices. But the thing is too, once they throw it once, that's it. That's all they ever throw it. You can wait an eternity, they'll never throw it again. I don't understand that. You know? It's just ridiculous. And they shouldn't throw the ball when there's other enemies around. I don't think we're going to have that problem over here, but in the next chapter you definitely do. Okay, so let's see if I can get this to work. I'm going to switch to Swordmaster and probably prop. See if I can prop it. Either prop it, do the move. All I'm saying in my mind when I play this is do the move, you stupid fucks, just do it. You know, everybody is here that we need, right? We've got 2 whites, 1 gold. That's all you need. They love to do it when you're right next to them, too, like this. So, timing is everything. See how I could barely see shit right there? I still had enough sense to get that timing right. And I've got to say, I'm horrible at that timing with the prop. It's very difficult. So, I think you can get it with the stinger as well. I think any physical thing that you do to it with a physical attack is good for you. But at about this time, you want to have somewhere between try to have like 4,000 around this time. There is a pretty high requirement. You saw the requirement at the beginning of the video. Also, make sure that you end this fight with some Devil Trigger because we're going to have to do a 3rd jump in that main room coming up. I can't tell you how good the prop is. The prop is one of the it's kind of like the Izuna drop of this game. It is just, and it's not really that. It's just so helpful. Like, it's so versatile. You can do a ton of things with it to just knock people over and interrupt them. I just absolutely love it. Like that. You always want to go behind their shield, though. Oh, here, and now we have this move here, which doesn't give us anything. And why do I do it? Well, it's a move, and I'm trying to be versatile if I can. Also, the drive has a pretty specific timing to get to overdrive. After you charge a drive, if you press it again within a certain time window, you get an overdrive effect, which does 3 more shockwaves of damage. And if you hold the trigger to get a level 2 drive, it's even more powerful too. but the timing is strange, because the thing is, I'm on turbo, and if I ever went to normal speed, it's very peculiar. For instance, the other day I went to Devil May Cry 5 and I started playing the game for a bit, and the speed was slower than this, because obviously that game doesn't have turbo, and this game does, and I'm used to playing really fast. Now, does that make the game harder? I think not really, as long as you are used to one difficulty, speed, you're all good in the hood for the most part. I can't tell you how much editing was involved in this project, though. I almost lost my mind trying to get all these plates in order and everything going. Okay, 3 canisters up here, and then there should be one more part with 3 more canisters, 2 of which, or 1 of which has nothing in it. Should be over here. These jumping pads are just atrocious. They're so bad. They're so horrible. Okay, and then as you're leaving this place, remember that there is this to smash before you go. And then we're going to be going back into the castle. And that's why I said you want to have some Devil Trigger over here. Now, if you want to do the gallery fight. Did I mention the gallery fight? You can do that fight if you want to, but you don't have to, because that's not on the main path. What's wrong with this? Oh, a little. It's usually not that particular. I'm trying to make this as fast as I can. I'm trying to, if you swing and then press Royal Guard, it does cancel out some of the animations at the end of the swing, but it ends up not being worth it, because it just, smashing these chairs, it just is a lengthy process. So if you go to a lot of extra pains, you're just adding a bunch more extra times. So, shotgun's decent too. It's got a bunch of good spread. But now we're going to be going out and fighting a bunch of dogs. And I was using I was like stinger spamming them with the Devil Trigger a lot, but I didn't really want to waste my Devil Trigger anymore. So I said, let's just use the goddamn spaceship and see if that's more effective, and see if it's a little bit more quicker. And it's actually both. And it doesn't build rank very much, but stinger spamming doesn't either. And it's just hard to work with these fucking dogs. So what I would recommend is to just get into one corner and just keep jumping and using your spaceship here and just firing rockets at them. If you're full up with Devil Trigger, you can use some of the Devil Trigger and make your rockets stronger. Just remember, don't aim, because if you aim, that puts them on the camera and they'll attack. And if they're attacking, like that, when you're putting them off the screen, they will have to finish their attack, which means you're probably going to get hit. So we're almost at 10,000 over here, so that's a comfortable place to be right now. And this strategy is actually quite good. Quite good. Now, there is another fight with the dogs after this too, but it's optional. So, the next chapter, man, what can I say about the next chapter that I haven't said many times? It's just such a hard chapter. You want to know the irony of this all? I've been trying to do the next chapter for like 10 hours now, but it was on hour 1 that I beat it first, beat Agnes, and finished the stage. But I got 99% of the orbs, and that's not what I'm doing, so I can't do that. I have to restart the fucking chapter. Now I can't beat him because he is and can be kind of a cheap boss, and he has moves that should not take off as much as they do. But they give you time enough to react to them. It's just that you had better be paying attention, to what he's doing, or he's going to take advantage. Like any enemy in this game, they all vie for screen time. They're all a bunch of Vivian Lees vying for screen time. So you don't want to give them screen time. And unfortunately, over here, there is no good place to use the spaceship. So you can stinger spam, or if you want to, you can avoid it. Don't do it. Or you can go back to where you were before, and I think that they would follow you over there. So if you're going to that length, just don't even do the fight. The poles over here give you health, so that's good, but it seems like Dante's double trigger just doesn't last as long as Nero's for some reason, even with double heart. It's just kind of strange, it just goes faster. Burial. Did I own Burial? I kind of did, but then I got so... I just get so terrified of the ends of boss fights in these games when enemies get a little bit more vicious and faster. So what you want going into that fight is Swordmaster with, and this is just a recommendation, you can do as you like for God's sake. Swordmaster with the sword, and you want to do a level 2 drive on him. And then if you can swing it in overdrive, and you can add double trigger to that depending on how much double trigger allowance you have. Okay? And there is always time to do a level 2 charge on this boss. He's far enough away. He skulks towards you pretty slowly, and it's not a big deal. But like I said, the big deal about this boss is I don't know what it is. It probably is just me, but the camera just seems very particular over here, and where you're pointed 1 second seems to not be where you're pointed the next second. But see how this guy's stunned? Just because he turns orange doesn't mean he is stunned. Now, yes, he is stunned right now, but there are times when he will not fall down and get stunned even though he's turned orange. That's the conceit that Nero has, so they actually should have changed that a little bit. So just trickster away from that. If he charges across the screen, trickster away to the left or right. Dante has a really good way to dodge that charge. I love it. Huh. See? I wish Nero had something like that. Now Bastard's starting to block. Just jump through his sword like you do with Nero. See? He's orange, but he's not stunned. He shook his head a little bit, but I think he normally does that. And, be careful. You don't want to get by his hindquarters. And just play it safe, because if you aren't safe, you could very well end up being sorry, and you don't want that. So now he's in Devil Trigger. I'm not really worried, but I know that if I screw up too much, I could easily die, because he could do this a whole bunch of times. He could stomp on me by running and charging, beating me down into the earth, and I could take a lot of damage. I can keep fucking up that. That's priceless doing that on this fight. I love it. But just like Nero, mid-range is where you want to be so that he doesn't... See how he just swiped me there? I was just staring at him. I guess I kind of am frightened. But he looks kind of intimidating, and it's a long stage. You just don't want to screw up, but I'm screwing up because I'm just like a deer in a headlight, just screwing up. So I've got to temper my patience. I've got to get under control a little bit, because I could die easily. He might just have a couple slivers left, but one hit and I'm finished. Okay, there we go. It's because there's so much writing on it too. So let's see how we did over here. Hey, here we are. Still of us in the spaceship. Just over 24 minutes. We got the S for that. Stylish points 12,982. That was pretty close, actually. And of course, we found all of the orbs. Okay, onwards to mission 17.